filming? Let's go now.
Hey, so what do we call this place? Is it Myanmar, or Burma?
Oh man, I don't know. It used to be called Burma, and now it's Myanmar, I think. But the locals don't seem to care which one you say, but it's not Miramar. So this story is about 6 hacky playing mates who went to play Chinlone in Myanmar. We first headed to Mandalay, where we were told the best Chinlone players were to be found. This was the first morning of the trip for most of us, and we started by playing a different sport altogether. This isn't the form of Chinlone that we came to play. It's another sport actually, which is widely known as sepak takraw, and it's played throughout Southeast Asia. They use a similar ball to Chinlone. It's a bit smaller usually, but the rules are quite similar to volleyball, except you can't use your hands. So this was the main way that we got around. These things were widely used as taxis, like open air utes. They cost about 5,000 chat, which is the currency there, which is about 5 New Zealand bucks for all 6 of us together. Next, we visited the Chinlone Stadium next to the Mahamuni Pagoda. Chinlone is a simple game that no one wins, and it's the national sport of Myanmar. You keep a woven rattan ball off the ground without using your hands, and if you can, you do it with style. The Burmese have played Chinlone for about 1500 years, and it was first played by Burmese royalty. And we found that they were halfway through some kind of fundraising effort for a Buddhist temple, and lots of teams were playing to help the cause. It's a bit different from hacky sack in that 5 players usually walk in a circle and one person goes in the middle and they show off their best tricks. It's kind of like performing a solo.
We ended up coming to this takraw spot twice, since the local folks there were really friendly and good-natured. They were generous with their court and powerful players when they wanted to turn it up. We played for hours, happily leaving with our legs aching. What is this game?
I have no idea, but it looks awesome. Japan occupied Myanmar, or Burma as it was back then, from 42 to 45 during World War II, and this hill was one of the last pockets of resistance taken back by the British in 45. Another pocket of resistance was this walled royal palace, which has a big moat around it. It got shelled by the Allies, and most of the old teak palace burned down sadly, but this watchtower survived. Most of what you can see though is a replica of the old palace that got built in the 90s. Next, we took a flight to Bagan and rented out some bikes to check out the temples. Bagan was the capital of the Bagan Kingdom, which is what turned into Burma. And between the 11th and the 13th centuries, over 10,000 Buddhist temples and pagodas were constructed there. The city got invaded by Mongols multiple times, and you know how that goes. The city collapsed and never quite returned to the peak of its golden age. Over the centuries, some of the temples and pagodas were maintained by wealthy patrons, but Father Time did its thing, being helped by earthquakes as well, and most fell into ruin. This is a village that tourists could go into and check out how life is like for locals. Our guide was super friendly, and she explained how they turn cotton into clothing, make their own cigars, and she was happy to answer all the questions about life for normal Burmese people.
Stuff in here, yeah? Nice one.
How you doing? Nice one, Dave. Oh. Yeah. We're still good. We're still alive.
As lovely as the temples were, I think we got templed out at this point and didn't really even go into this one. We just wanted to hang out and play some hack. There was a big earthquake in Myanmar in 2016 and it destroyed about 400 temples. Since then they've stopped people climbing on top of the temples, but this one was still open and we've got a beautiful view of the sunset. We then went to this awesome vegetarian restaurant, bizarrely named Be Kind to Animals the Moon. Outside we saw these fellows playing Chinlone and we had to join in. What did you think about this cake?
Yeah, I think this was one of the highlights of the trip for me and for other people too. We think it was a monastery next door and some of the monks were joining in.
Oh, Mingala Ba!
And we stayed there for hours until nightfall.
Yeah, definitely worked up an appetite for the moon, the live animals, the moon. God, I can't even remember
The moon,
what
the
it was.
cat dog.
Yeah. This was after we got back to Mandalay, and it was a couple of hours out of the city. The country has an incredibly diverse flora and fauna, and also a crazy, diverse ethnic makeup as well. There's over 130 ethnic groups. cave that was close by, so we checked it out on the way back. Buddhism is everywhere in this country, so there was tons of Buddhist statues inside. And we played so much Chinlone, sepak, takraw and hack during this trip that we were pretty spent, I think. Most of our legs were pretty busted, but could definitely go back for more. More Buddhism and history, more natural and cultural beauty, more intense smells and taste, more Burmese games like pillow fighting and greased pole climbing. Yes, those are real things. So, love to come back. Cheers, Myanmar. Thanks for all the laughs.
Thanks, Maps McCarthy.
Cheers, Johnny, the director. See you later.